Alright everyone, welcome back again to more of the Hungry Lamb. As of this video everyone, I beat the game, or at least I attained one of the endings. And I gotta say, the ending I got did not make me happy. It was out of the blue, abrupt even. But that's why we're not done yet. In the following videos to come, I'm gonna continue on and see if I can get other endings and hope for the best that I get a better one than the one I currently got. But outside of that, I gotta say overall the game is really great. I enjoyed the characterizations of each of these characters, as well as their interactions with one another. As for the girls and Monsvi in particular, there's still so much to learn, and I'm hoping that each new ending I get gives me more insight into their psyche, and hopefully in one of these endings, Monsvi and the girls get a better ending than splitting up, because I'm hoping one of those endings involve him adopting all of them. In fact, that'd be nice, you know? But anyways guys, I'll let you all see for yourselves what's to come. So if anything else, thank you all for the love and support. Hope you all continue to enjoy, and here we go. It seemed that little brat had walked along the river. After sneaking away, she didn't leave the city but instead continued along the river. Wait, why would she walk along the river? Why? I pondered as I walked briskly. Riverbank. River. Did she ever mention anything about a river? Oh! It seems she actually did. Suddenly, I remembered something she said. My memory's a bit foggy. I was real young then. My dad took me to Luoyang. I remember a river in the city with a lake at the end. I think I got lost back then. Walked along that river crying till I reached the lake. That's where I found my dad. While on the wagon, the little brat mentioned feeling like she had been to Luoyang before. She said her dad had brought her to Luoyang when she was little. At that time, she got lost and found her dad by walking along the river. I felt like her story was probably fabricated. Judging from her fresh and curious demeanor yesterday, it's probably her first time in Luoyang. But why would she make up such a story? I couldn't understand, but I still planned to follow her lead. So I walked along the river, intending to find the lake at the end of the river, as she had mentioned. Wow, that's a nice sight. I searched for a long time. I walked for several hours. I didn't eat anything at all, yet I kept walking. From day to dusk, I kept walking. Eventually, just when I was about to give up, thinking there was no lake inside Luoyang, I seemed to have found one. The waters of the Chan River flowed to the southeast corner of the city, where there was indeed a small lake. According to the old man who gave me directions earlier, this lake was once a bustling port during the Sui and Tang dynasties, but it fell into disuse and fewer people came here over time. Nowadays, the lake is not used for navigation. It's just an abandoned lake within the city serving no purpose. A few years ago, a woman whose chastity had been ruined jumped into this lake. Her body never surfaced, and since then, the lake seemed haunted, with reports of a woman's crying echoing around. Many people detested the ominous air, so even fewer people came here. As I walked step by step, I checked out the lake before me. The small lake was tinged yellow by the twilight. The inner circle was a dirty marsh. The middle circle was overgrown with weeds, and the outer circle consisted of dilapidated houses, giving it a desolate and bleak ambiance. I searched around, but didn't find Monsui. It seemed she wasn't here. I knew it was a long shot that she wouldn't come here. What would she be doing at a place like this anyway? Just as I was about to leave, I suddenly noticed something unusual. A few dozen yards away from me, there was a series of shallow footprints pressed into the muddy ground. The footprints clearly belonged to someone who wasn't wearing shoes. They led all the way to the lakeside. The footprints were very small, about half the size of my hand. They looked like the footprints of that little brat. My spirits lifted. After searching for so long, I finally found what seemed to be her trace. So I quickly ran forward and followed the footprints. My feet sank into the mud with each step, bringing up some dirt with my shoes. Step by step, I followed the footprints with difficulty. In the end, I found what she had left behind. I bent my head down to look at what was placed by the lake. For a long moment, I couldn't find the words. Shoes. By the lakeside lay a pair of shoes. The shoes were light blue with pointed tips and bright silver peonies, stitched on both sides, looking delicate and small, like two little birds with folded wings. The shoes seemed as if they were painted onto the bank, unmoved by the passing breeze. The sides of the shoes were not stained with mud. It appeared that she must have walked here barefoot, carrying her shoes. And then, where did she go? I grew suspicious and continued following the footprints along the bank. The footprints continued onward, all the way to the lake. There were no return footprints. I froze. Based on the footprints, it seemed that the little brat had headed towards the lake, but there were no traces of her turning back. Did she just keep walking towards the lake until she disappeared into it completely? Why? After that, I never saw her again. I stayed in Luoyang City for several days. During those days, I went to the lake every day. I wanted to see if any drowned bodies would surface in the lake, but I never saw any such corpses. Later, I asked a nearby fisherman and learned that although the lake seemed to be within the city, it actually connected to the Chan River. If someone jumped into the river here, it would be difficult to find them. The drowned person would be washed into the Chan River to the outlet of the lake and then into the Luo River. Once out of Luoyang, they would never be found again. I was about to say, why didn't you just jump into the river and see if she was still there? Because it wasn't that long ago that she went under, I guess. And that's if she did. I pondered for many days but still couldn't understand. Why did the little brat leave like that? And why did she give me that pouch in the end? She revealed to me that I was her dad's murderer, but then chose to disappear. It's also inexplicable. Little brat, did you really jump into the river? Did you really die? Why did you seek revenge against me and instead chose to die on your own? Wonder what was the meaning of all this? After that, I continued southward, inquiring about her along the way, but I never found any information. From then on, I've been searching for an answer that can never be found. I didn't realize it until many years later. To be gone in such a sudden way, with the result of my never finding an answer, was her revenge on me. The gentlest yet cruelest revenge. Wait, what? That was the ending? Ending gone? I wore a pair of straw sandals, stepping on the mountain path. It had been several weeks since I had left home, and with each step I was farther away. In the past, I would have been scared to be far from home, but now I wasn't afraid at all, because my home was gone, and anywhere could be my home. I wanted to find out why Dad hadn't come home, and I wanted to avenge my deceased family. This thought kept me going and made me back up and continue forward every time I collapsed from exhaustion. Mom and my little brother couldn't accompany me for too long. They were quickly consumed by me. In recent days when I was starving, I would dig wild roots or eat tree bark. I had to figure ways to find something to eat to keep myself alive. I recall Dad used to say I could reach the capital where the Emperor lived if I kept heading east, where the sun rises. There was endless food where the Emperor lived, so there would definitely be no famine. As for Grandma, she said the further south you go, the less likely there would be famine. It's hot in the south and there is more water there, so people would have a lot of food and rarely worry about going hungry. I thought about what Dad and Grandma said and decided to listen to Grandma first and go south. Once I reach a large town, I plan to ask for directions again. From there, I might go east or continue south. Perhaps it was because I was alone and I kept walking in the mountains. After a long while, I was like a mute since I didn't talk for so long. I was scared to go on the main roads, because I was scared of bumping into people who were trying to flee or the ghouls. I often chatted with Mom and Dad when Mom and Dad first left home for the long trip. She reminded me and my little brother that we need to stay away from ghouls. Some people who tried to flee from the famine lived like ghosts. They were hungry all year round and would eat anything. I had seen ghouls when Dad and I were on our way home from Gangquan. Those people fixed their gazes on me like I was a gold ingot. Back then, I thought they were eyeing me to kidnap me and sell me for cash. But now, I saw things differently. They probably wouldn't have sold me if they had kidnapped me. They will cook me alive and eat me. After walking for a few days, I saw there was a tree bark on the trees around me and grass sprouting from the ground. One night, I discovered an open area in the woods. There were traces of fire and cooking, indicating that someone had made a fire here before. It was a cold at night, and there were even distant sounds of wild animals, so I decided to start a fire and rest here. I picked up some dry firewood nearby and piled them up before I used the flint to make a fire. I tried many times rubbing my fingers white, but I finally managed to light a small flame. I squatted down next to it, shielding it from the wind for fear it would be blown out. Before long, the small flames grew bigger and bigger. At first, it was the size of a finger, then the size of a palm, then the size of a head, and finally, I got the fire going. So hungry. What should I eat today? All the trees nearby have tree bark. I could eat some of that. No, better not to. I hadn't been able to find clean water recently. It had been 2 days since I drank water. Eating tree bark without drinking water would accumulate the tree bark in my stomach and it'd be impossible to get it out. Eventually, I would die with a huge stomach as if I was pregnant. Never mind. I'll see if I can find a river where I can drink from tomorrow. There should be some edible fruits by the river. I laid down and looked at the sparks dancing up and down, hoping I could dream of finding a river. The moment I closed my eyes, I heard a shout coming from a distance. It sounded like someone was shouting at the top of his lungs to give directions to someone else. Who was that? I hastily stood up, only to see someone moving in the distance running towards me. There were 2 people. They were running towards me at a fast pace. When I spotted them, they were still several dozen steps away from me. However, just when I was about to run, they already got close to me. The bonfire lit up their faces, which startled me. I couldn't tell how old they were, but they were probably older than Dad and a bit younger than Grandma. I'd probably call them uncles. They were unkempt and hunched over, skin and bones, but with huge stomachs. I could tell from the gleam in their eyes they're dangerous. I couldn't call them uncles. They were ghouls. Don't tell me they're also cannibals again. Well, it sounded like it. One of them grinned at me, revealing a mouth of uneven and yellow teeth. And the other one lunged at me directly and tried to grab hold of me. They were ghouls. Ghouls that ate kids. Run quickly. I quickly ran into the woods after I got a good look at them. However, even though they were really thin and short, adult strides were still longer than mine. I was thirsty, hungry, and without much strength left, I accidentally tripped and fell into the grass. I fell to the ground. The 2 ghouls immediately pounced over and pinned me down. One of them held me down to stop me from moving. The other one grabbed a piece of torn cloth and wrapped it around my wrist, attempting to wrap my hands behind my back. They tied my hands up and mumbled some insane words. It's over now. I was captured by the ghouls. I was going to be eaten. I got scared instantly and wanted to resist, but they had me completely pinned down. I couldn't move a muscle. My hands were tied behind my back. The ghouls herded me like a sheep into a small cave on the nearby mountainside. It was close to where I had camped earlier, probably just 300 steps away. Walking along the mountain path to the cave's entrance, I realized it provided a perfect vantage point overlooking the spot where I just had lit my fire. I felt a deep sense of regret. If I hadn't started the fire earlier, perhaps they wouldn't have spotted me. I should have realized this. If there were signs of a fire, it meant there were people nearby. But no matter how much I regretted it, it was already too late. In the cave, there were various odds and ends scattered about. It was very dark, so initially, I couldn't make out what they were. The ghouls threw me into a corner, then started a fire. When the flames illuminated the cave, I was startled by what I saw. It was a mess inside, with clothes and miscellaneous items strewn all over the floor. At the center of the cave, there was a large pot. It emitted a foul odor and was still cooking. Beneath the pot were burning human bones, while inside the pot, human flesh simmered. Judging from the variety of the bones and meat, they seemed to be from numerous individuals. Witnessing this scene, my face turned pale, and tears quickly filled my eyes, because I sort of guessed what would happen to me next.
怎样？一会儿也把你给煮了。 也会是这样。
I'm more looking forward to seeing how she gets out of this, because I really don't want to see any more of this nonsense going on. A ghoul looked at the pot from afar and approached me with a smile.
是啊，你这小女娃看着脏，但应该还挺好吃。
The other ghoul laughed and started eyeing me with his glinting eyes.
不要吃我，求求两位伯伯，不要吃我。
I was so frightened by them that I cried and begged them not to eat me, but it seemed that my pleas wouldn't change anything. Instead, they only fueled their laughter. After crying for a while and seeing no sign of mercy from them, I was planning to resign myself to my fate. My tears went dry and I slumped weakly against the rocky wall of the cave. Welp. If they were gonna eat me, at least I'd be able to meet Dad and Mom. That was what I was thinking when I leaned against the wall in the cave. However, it turned out much like the many events that followed. Whenever I thought I was gonna die, I always ended up surviving. Seeing how I was crying and making a scene, the two ghouls thought that I was no different than other kids, so they let their guard down. Plus, they still had some meat left in the pot and couldn't finish it so quickly. So even though they said they were gonna eat me, they didn't kill me right away. The duo tidied up a bit and quickly went to sleep. They were snoring loudly like lightning, making it hard for me to fall asleep. But of course, I didn't want to fall asleep either. I didn't want to just wait there for my death to come. I was really frightened, but I still removed my position and rubbed the cloth binding my hands against a protruding rock in the cave. After grinding for a while, I tore through the skin of my hands and started bleeding. But at the same time, the piece of cloth also wore away. I could move freely in the cave. After that, I didn't sneak out and try to escape from the cave. I hesitated for a bit before I picked up the dagger and stabbed at one of the ghouls who was sleeping soundly. Putting all my strength into it, I also pressed my way onto the dagger. It went in deep, piercing that ghoul's neck, and he let out a groan before collapsing dead on the ground. The other ghoul, awakened by the sound, was still groggy from sleep and confused in the darkness, not understanding what was happening at first. Seizing the opportunity, I rushed forward and stabbed him too. He was struck by my attack. Uttering angry curses I couldn't understand, he tried to grab my dagger, but I lunged at him again, stabbing him a second time, this time in the belly. Bleeding profusely, fear finally overcame him and he attempted to flee. However, he accidentally tripped over a bone, stumbling headfirst into the pot where the meat was still cooking. He thrashed around for a bit but couldn't free himself from the pot, then quickly ran out of breath. Wow. After that, even though I was hungry, I held back from eating the ghoul's flesh. I was afraid that if I ate their flesh, I would become more and more like a ghoul myself. So I picked up some fruits they stored in the cave and left, heading further south. Ever since I was almost eaten by ghouls, I no longer felt that the mountain paths were safe. I started searching for main roads to travel on. When walking along the main road, I would pay close attention to the sound around me. At the slightest hint of human voices, I would hide and wait until they passed before I got on the road again. The further south I went, the better the situation became. The trees alongside the roadside pretty much all had tree bark, and wild grasses and fruits were abundant and easy to gather. However, every once in a while I still encountered people lying by the roadside. They were all dead. Some died from eating something poisonous. I wasn't sure what they ate. It might have been unsoaked tree bark or kaolin clay, causing their bellies to swell grotesquely, resembling pregnant women as they laid on the roadside. Some were victims of violence, their bodies covered in blood, bearing multiple wounds. Dogs and birds gathered around them, feasting on their internal organs. Whenever I walked past corpses, I would check their faces. I wanted to see if they were my dad. Throughout the journey, I often asked about Dad's whereabouts. Wherever I went, I inquired. After I escaped from the ghouls, I arrived at a place called Fuzhou. I asked the locals there if they had seen Dad. The folks there told me there were too many people like Dad, making it impossible to track him down and advised me to give up. After that, I went to Baishui and Pucheng. The folks in Baishui told me it was too common for families to be separated since people everywhere were fleeing from famine, so there was no point in searching more. And people in Pucheng told me that Dad was probably taken away to fight in the war. The border conflicts were escalating, so he must have been conscripted into the army. I don't believe it and kept going south until I got to Weinin. I ran out of food I stored when I reached Weinin. So I slept under a broken roof next to the inn. I slept there the entire day until it was the inn's closing time. Until an old chief from the inn woke me up.
哎，干嘛呢？哦，是个小女娃。小女娃，你怎么睡我们店旁边了？
The old chef looked at me annoyed and asked, gesturing as if he was ushering me away. I leaned against the inn's wall with my arms around my knees and then looked up at him without saying a word. It had been many days since I talked to someone, and I didn't feel like talking then either.
爹你娘呢？啊，怎么不管你啊？
He asked me again, and I shook my head.
原来是个哑巴。哎，走吧，啊，先跟我进客栈吧。天要冷了，睡外面会冻死你的。
I went to the inn with the old chef. He made me some stuff to eat. I totally devoured it and didn't leave any for him. He realized I wasn't a mute only after I ate and said thank you to him. I told him everything about me. I told him I was from the northern Shan and we had a severe famine there. Everyone in my family died except for Dad, who never returned home, and I had no idea where he went. And now I was fleeing from the famine while searching for Dad. And after the old chef heard my story, he let me sleep in the storage room. The next day, he told the innkeeper that he needed help and wanted to hire me as an assistant. He pleaded with the innkeeper for a while. Upon hearing that I wouldn't take any wages, the innkeeper agreed. So I had a job, and it was my first time having a place where I could stay long term. I assisted the old chef at the inn, mainly helping him with tasks like washing vegetables and cutting meat. Sometimes he would even teach me to prepare simple dishes. I didn't take any wages and was content with just eating leftovers each day, which made things easier for the innkeeper. Over time, the old chef grew accustomed to my presence by his side and began to see me as his apprentice. Excuse me. Gradually passing on his skills to me. His impression of me shifted from being a stray kitten with nowhere to go, becoming his disciple. My address for him changed from the impolite old chef to Grandpa Chef. Time flew by fast. Before I knew it, I spent 6 months working as an assistant cook at the inn. Grandpa Chef treated me well, and sometimes I even felt reluctant to leave. However, whenever I thought of Dad and the rest of my family who had passed away, I felt determined to continue my journey. After 6 months, because of some remarks I heard from the inn's diners, I set out on my journey once again. The inn had many people coming and going. The kitchen wasn't far from where the guests ate, so sometimes when I helped Grandpa Chef in the kitchen, I would also listen to the conversations of the guests. One guest's words caught my attention. He mentioned that all Shan was in turmoil, with many people suffering from disasters. Some people even became rebels, while others turned into bandits. Those bandits would rob travelers on the roads, taking money from men and assaulting women. To avoid leaving witnesses, they usually didn't spare anyone they robbed. And those bandits also shared a characteristic. They often stayed in the mountains for long periods and grew bored easily. They would frequently come down from the mountains to experience the hustle and bustle of the red light districts. When it came to the best nightlife spots in Shan, none could rival the Yanyue Mansion in Chang'an City. Almost all the bandits had been in the Yanyue Mansion. It was like their headquarters. If the official soldiers ever decided to raid it, they would definitely capture numerous leaders in one fell swoop. Red light districts, Chang'an, Yanyue Mansion. I remembered those words, even though I didn't understand them. I finally got some clues. Since there had been no news of Dad, he'd likely been captured by bandits or murdered. I wanted to ask about Dad, which meant I needed to learn about the bandits. And to do that, the Yanyue Mansion in Chang'an seemed like a good place to start.
爷爷，我明天要走了。
走？娃儿，你要去哪儿啊？
要去找爹爹了。
有下落了？有什么下落呀？不会是要去危险的地方吧？
大概不危险。我要去长安。
哦，长安还好，那里安全些。你一定要去吗？
我 我想找爹爹，一定要去的。
行，那你就走吧。啊，走之前我多给你备一些吃的。
谢谢爷爷，我以后会常来看爷爷的。
不用，你要是能找到你爹爹，就快去找他吧。啊，别整天像个小野猫一样到处乱逛了。
I like this guy. He's a good dude.
我这身老骨头也没几年可活了，过一天算一天。哎呀，明天又得去找新帮工喽。
Although it sucks we'll never see or hear from him again, because I don't know if she's gone now. Grandpa Chef sighed, pounding his back, and walked away. The next day, Grandpa Chef made me some stuff to eat and specially wrapped a package for me. I accepted the package he handed to me, thanked him, and embarked on a new journey. Fuyuan Inn, Weinan. Before I left, I glanced at the inn's door plaque. If I ever passed by Weinan again in the future, I'd have to come here and visit Grandpa Chef. And that's the ending? Really? That was so abrupt. So I guess you can say I got an okay ending. Not so much as a bad one at that, just more so bittersweet or even somber, you know? But there's still a couple more to go, and I'll be checking those out in the following videos to come, guys. So if anything, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for the love and support. And I'll see you all in the next one.